Super excited for the Lightning to jumpstart their playoffs and look forward to them continuing to win. Super excited to be part of everything the Lightning do for more than a decade now. You just can't wait to see how they perform in the playoffs this year. So, it's interesting because the stock market the last couple of weeks, or actually probably about the last month, has been some of the most tumultuous I've ever seen. And it does have an impact on the real estate market. It does kind of put a cloud over the real estate market because we were heading in a direction where we were starting to see some relief with interest rates. And when the Iran war started, the treasury yields started rising and rising and rising and got to the point where the gains, or I guess the losses, you could say, the drops in interest rate, or the gain in affordability that we're starting to see got wiped out. Well, after the last couple of weeks and what looks like a pretty smooth off-ramp now for the war in Iran, oil has dropped pretty dramatically. The stock market has recovered, is now approaching all-time highs. Treasury yields have reduced. And now if we can get the economy in control over the next few months, we have a new Fed chair. And I think, again, we start to see that interest rate relief come back. With that interest rate relief will spark an improvement in our real estate market. January and February this year in Tampa Bay were the two worst months that we've seen in more than a decade, in fact, in terms of total home sales. So the affordability has been a challenge. We've seen, high interest rates, we've seen high insurance and high taxes all contributing. What has fueled our market to outperform some others is that we're still getting people moving here. Our luxury and high-end market is still performing incredibly well. We're seeing people move from New York, California, New Jersey, the high tax states. We are, I believe, 46th or 47th in terms of, lowest tax rates for personal income in the country, meaning that we're very affordable still when it comes to people looking at taxes. And that's valuable, especially to job creators, business owners, and entrepreneurs. So our luxury market has kind of helped pull us through. And it's one of these things where I see this segmented market where Tampa Bay real estate has these almost like different niches that are performing differently. And I had someone say the other day, but Andrew, the average sale price in Tampa is above $500,000. And, it's become unaffordable. And the reality is the market between 400 and 600,000, let's just call it average, maybe even below there, is not in that great of a position. What you see when you start hearing things like appreciation or our average sale price increasing is many more transactions in the higher end that are offsetting that average. The median is not as much changed. So you're seeing, $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million sales that are abnormal for our market in terms of the percentage of them and the number of them, and it's pulling our average sale price up. So in those mid-level price ranges, there's still a lot of obstacles that interest rates, taxes, and insurance kind of have an overhang on. So we're starting to see some relief in those areas. We've got property tax relief. We could see some additional interest rate relief. And I have felt in the last week or two a complete shift in consumer sentiment and an improvement in the market. My team hit a higher number of pending sales than we've had in a couple of years. All things point to recovery and an improved market as we get through 2026, as long as we keep the wars at a minimum and hopefully we get a new Fed chair and some potential interest rate reliefs. So that's kind of the summary of what's going on in Tampa Bay and how to break down the statistics. What really matters to you, though, is what is going on in your neighborhood. We have never had a Tampa real estate market as segmented as it is, with all these different factions of the market that are outperforming or underperforming other parts of it. And so I want to tell you that when you hear me talk about some of these generalities like prices rising or prices dropping or the high end doing great or the low end not doing as great, what really matters is your particular neighborhood. Because every neighborhood's a little bit different. Some got hit hard by hurricanes. Condos, for example, are performing poorly because of the issues with HOAs, the additional inspections, the additional insurance costs, and then, just a supply and demand curve that doesn't match anything near what single-family homes are. And then single-family homes, like I mentioned before, are doing better depending on the price range and part of town. So when you hear these real estate stats, or you hear me even talking in generalities, it might not apply to the real estate that you own. The only way to know what's going on with the real estate you own is getting very specific reports about what is going on with your home and your neighborhood. And we've built a website at duncanduo.com. We're using an AI technology partner where you can type in your address. There's no obligation or anything like that. You type in your address and you can get a home value report. It can also be customized. You can update it. You can upload images and you can get an instant cash offer. It's just kind of staying in touch with what's going on. If you're the nosy neighbor type and you want to know, who in your neighborhood is behind on their mortgage, or, who in your neighborhood has put their home on the market, even though they don't have a sign in the yard, or who in your neighborhood started renting their house out, or improved their home, or whatever it is, the data that's available today is limited in certain websites. And we partnered with this company that brings aggregates the data and then uses AI to help you come up with the most accurate home value assessment. So if you want to do that, you can do that at duncanduo.com. I mentioned a cash offer before because, we dealt with this situation this week, and I feel like we deal with it all the time. My company represents some institutional investors, and then I am part of an investment fund within my own company that also buys, renovates, and resells real estate. So we're always presenting cash offers to customers. There are a couple different kind of caveats to presenting a cash offer that I want to explain. My company, when we're presenting a cash offer to someone, it is our intention and full disclosure to buy that home. We've decided what we're going to offer. We cut to the chase. We don't jump people through a lot of hoops. We can close fast. We can lease back. We can accept really bad condition. But we are not a wholesaler. We are an actual buyer. We are going to buy that home. We are going to go under contract and we're going to close at the timeline that you desire. We're going to be very customized to your own situation, but we're buying that home in that division of my company to make a profit. So it's not a charity. It's not meant to solve your problem if you think it's worth more or if you owe a certain amount. It's meant to buy a home at a number that we can renovate it and make a profit comparable to what we'd make if we parked our money in a mutual fund, for example. So we're not expecting to double or triple our money or do anything crazy, but we're expecting to make a fair income for the risk that we're taking on, the utilities we have to turn on, the commissions we have to pay, and then of course the renovations, the permitting, the processes, and the insurance and taxes and the risk that something goes wrong. So nonetheless, there are a lot of people out there saying, we'll give you a cash offer for your house, that don't really have an intention of buying your home. And this is why it matters who you're dealing with. Far too often I have customers say, well, Andrew, you offered me $280 and I found somebody that will offer me $300. And they're comparing apples to oranges because they're not getting the right advice. They're not looking at the terms and conditions of the contract, and they don't know what they're entering into. They think they got a $300,000 contract. But all they really got was toilet paper, because that contract says that the contract's assignable, that they've got, oodles of time to close and way longer inspection period than they probably told you, and some small pittance of an escrow deposit. So they're going to tie your property up and they're going to use your property to try and find an actual real buyer like me that would come in and just simply cut to the chase and buy your house and not have some guy trying to sift off the top that really isn't doing much for you. A lot of these wholesale contracts from wholesalers tie people up. They can be very litigious, and their goal isn't to close on your house. They don't have the money to close on your house. They're simply trying to make 10 or 20 grand and flip the paper to somebody else. If you're getting a cash offer, if you have a cash offer, and somebody's knocked on your door, or you're not able to really Google them and find out that they have money or a business or Google reviews, you're not able to confirm they have a real estate license, or, you have even the slightest sense of belief that there could be something unethical or uncomfortable, or, that you may be losing equity or tying your property up, or, going to somebody that's literally just trying to turn it around and eat your equity away. In some ways, not always, because there's a lot of honest wholesalers. There's a lot of them we work with, but some of them are certainly dishonest. They took a course over a weekend, and now they're going to go out and flip your house to somebody else. If you're up against that and you have that, please get a second opinion. Please know what you're signing. Please understand what's in that contract. Please read it. Please know if they have an intention to buy. Please verify their proof of funds. And if all else fails, call us. We'll shoot you straight. We'll look at it and say, hey, here's what you've got. Here's what the reality is. Here's where we're at. And here's what we would do. Here's how we would close. And we would close. But a lot of them don't have an intention. They're not a real, true cash buyer with their own funds. They're simply shopping it around. They're a middleman that's going to take the property, tie you up, not give you any real certainty of closing, and have such minimal escrow amount that even if the deal falls apart, you don't get anything. And because they don't have like a business with a bunch of reviews and a reputation, you're limited in terms of what you can do to pursue, even filing a complaint or disagreeing with how they, point it. But if you want to vet them fast, here's a few questions you can do. Do you buy the house yourself with cash, or will you assign the contract? If they hesitate or say assign, negotiate hard or be prepared to walk away. Demand proof of funds that you can validate and verify. Check the contract for a no or very limited assignment clause, solid earnest money actually deposited, and a clear closing date, not within an X amount of time. And when I say limited assignment clause, there are some iBuyers and some LLCs that will ask for the right to assign it to an LLC that they haven't yet formed. So they don't assign it to some other company, but let's just say I was buying and I decided that I was going to rent it and I wanted that in a separate LLC that I didn't have set up yet. So there are some times where assignability can be okay, but a lot of times it's a wholesaler. Compare net proceeds side by side. Legit cash buyers often land closer once you factor in no repairs and the delays and the timeline. Use vetted marketplaces, work with the local agent. Cash is king. Look, it's just the right path for a lot of people. We would love to buy your house, but we'd also love to help avoid you making the mistake of accepting a fantasy land offer. We had one this week, and a house that we vetted out that we knew all day long was worth 180, and they're like, "Oh, we have somebody that says that they're going to pay us 210." And we knew what it was. We tried to explain it to them. We told them, "Look, you're going to get duped. This person, there's no way this person can buy this house for $210,000 and turn it around and make a profit. They're lying to you. They've either not seen it, don't understand it, or they're going to get you under contract for 210, and then they're going to haggle you down." And that's 100% what happened. So if it looks too good to be true, sounds too good to be true, it probably is. If you want a second opinion for your cash offer, again, just hit us up at duncanduo.com.